guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a ginormous book haul for you. This is a compilation of books I've bought probably from like end of February until even just as recently as yesterday. I didn't realize I didn't have more of these in a book haul in the last couple months. Just March through the beginning of June was crazy for me. With end of school, I transitioned to a new job and it just got a little hectic. So reading kind of fell to the back burner. Not that it stopped me from buying books, clearly, but it did stop me from reading a little bit. So I want to go ahead and show you guys some of the newer books that I've gotten recently and that I hope to read this summer. I'm going to kind of section off this haul as much as I can, and the first section is going to be either series I've already started or beginning of series that I plan to start. So it's series related. So the first one I want to talk about is the remaining books that are out, Fallen Kingdom series by Morgan Rhodes. So we have book number 2, which is Rebel Spring. We have Gathering of Darkness, which I love this one. Do you see how pretty the purple is? And then we have Frozen Tides. From what I can gather on Goodreads, there is a 5th and 6th book that are due to come out for this series, but I enjoyed the first book so much that I knew I was going to want the rest of them. So the quick premise behind this book is, in my opinion, it is the YA version of A Song of Fire and Ice by George R.R. Martin. It's like a Game of Thrones-esque kind of series, but for young adult. It has a multi-perspective viewpoint in this book, and it follows these different characters who are from different kingdoms but from the same land, and there's just a lot of betrayal and love and heartache and just all sorts of stuff that I feel like you would see in Game of Thrones, and it was fantastic. So as soon as I finished that first one, I actually went out and bought the next 3, so I'm ready to continue that series. The next 2 books I bought are actually from a series I've not read yet, but I had on my radar, and I found them at a really good price at Sam's Club, and they are from the Dorothy Must Die series. So this is Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page, and then we have The Wicked Will Rise. There is a 3rd book to this, which I believe is called The Yellow Brick Wars. I haven't got that yet. It is only in hardcover at the moment, so I think I'm going to hold off on that until it comes out in paperback, so they're all paperback. Basically, this is a Wizard of Oz retelling where obviously it tells you Dorothy must die, so it's kind of a spin. I'm assuming that Dorothy must be a villain. It follows this girl named Amy Gum who actually goes to Oz and has to defeat Dorothy, and everything you think you know about Oz is actually kind of backwards. It's like a retelling with a twist. So I'm really excited for these because retellings are quite possibly my favorite kind of book. Speaking of retellings, the next book I got was Untamed by A.G. Howard. This is the bind-up of 3 novellas that go with the Splintered series that I read about, or that I read in January and told you guys about. That was the Alice in Wonderland retelling. I loved that series so much, and the 3 stories that are in this I hear are fantastic and really kind of help to tie up even more of what you didn't know that happened after that series ended. So I'm excited to read this, and it's a small book, so I think this will be a super quick read for me. Continuing on with series that are about retellings, we have more of the Lunar Chronicles books. Now, I had read only Cinder as of January, and I really didn't, it wasn't my favorite. I think I gave it a 3.5 stars out of 5, so I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about the rest of the series, but I recently have read Scarlet, and then I read Cress, and then I've read the one I'm about to show you, and they only get better as they go, and so I'm really excited for this series. I'm very much enjoying it, and so the first book I have here is Fairest, which is the side novel that is the viewpoint of Queen Lavinia. Now, I will talk more about this in my June wrap-up because I have a lot to say about it, I feel like, and so this one, they recommend that you read between Cress and Winter, which is exactly what I did. So I got Fairest, and then I got Winter, which I'm actually starting today. And then I got the last book of what I consider the last book of this series. This is Stars Above. This is a bind-up of, I think, 7 or 9. I can't remember the exact number. They're short stories that you found a few of them in the back of the main character book. So like there was one at the end of Cinder, which talked about Cinder's childhood. There was one at the end of Scarlet that talks more about Wolf's life and so forth. So there's a lot of these. Then there was two of them in here had never been printed outside of this book. One I hear is about people who were the same time as what the Lunar Chronicles is happening, but not the main characters, and then the last one is kind of like a finale kind of conclusion, and it has all of our beloved characters in it. So I will read this after Winter. Still going on with the series theme, the next books I have to show you are part of the Red Queen series, and so I have Cruel Crown, which is, it's a super short book. It's like 76 pages, I think it is. This is the 1.5, I guess, number is what they call it for the Red Queen series. I had read the first couple pages of this and I wasn't super like into it, but I feel like I'll read it and see what else this has to offer me for that series, because I did read Red Crown in January, and I loved it. Like, I give it a 5 out of 5. I read it super quick, and so I think that if I can just get through it, that it'll offer me something, I'm sure. The next book to that series is Glass Sword, which is book number 2. I am super excited to read this one. Not only is it beautiful, like, do you guys see how pretty this is? Like, I love this series. So Red Queen's story basically is about this girl named Mare who is a red blood. There are silver bloods and red bloods. Red bloods are like the soldiers, the servants, like the lower class, and then there's silver bloods or the elite or the upper class. And Mare gets a job at the castle, and some event happens that makes her have to react in a certain way, and she exposes, and to her surprise as much as everyone else, that she actually has powers like the silver bloods do. And so the first book is basically them trying to find out why this is happening and trying to cover it up. And then at the end of it, there was this big kind of twist that happened, and so I'm assuming that that Glass Sword is just the continuation of that. And I'm really excited to see what happens in book 2. Almost done with series books, guys, but the next one I have here is the first book in the Tearling trilogy, and it is Queen of the Tearling. Now, I loved this book. Again, I loved this one. I read this in January as well, and it was just fantastic. I did I put it in my wrap up for January. I'll post that video down below for you to check that out. And then if you could see the price there, I got this baby for $6. I was super excited, but it's also got the little pretty like bookmark, and it's just gorgeous. The premise behind this is you follow our main character Kelsey. She is to inherit the throne, or the Tearling, but she has people who are against her and trying to kill her and not let her be that. And so the first book in this trilogy, you're kind of following her journey to get to the Tearling, to kind of try to reclaim where she belongs and then kind of find her place of where she feels like she fits. So the first book I liked much better than the second, so I'm glad to have this on hand. The next book that is part of a series that I have read or want to read is The Heir by Kira Cass. This is book 4 in the Selection series. This is after America's story. So the first 3 books, the Selection, the Elite, and the One, are America's Singer's story and how she goes through the selection process. This is the 4th book of where the king's daughter goes through her own selection, and I have started this one. I'm about 3 or 4 chapters into it, and I can already tell that it's a lot like the first 3 books, which I really liked. They were very light, kind of almost fluffy romance for me. So the main character is kind of whiny, kind of like America was in book 2 or so in the Elite. So I kind of come to expect that, but I am excited to read this. There's 2 other books, or there's another book after this called The Crown, which is the 5th and final book of the series. So I will be excited to complete these and have read all of the series. Alright, so the last books that I feel like come into the series category of this are the ones I'm probably most excited for, and I can't wait to kind of devour and just go through, and that is the Raven Cycle series. So the first book obviously is the Raven Boys, then we have Dream Thieves, Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and then the beautiful Raven King. How pretty is this book? Oh, I just love it. I personally prefer paperbacks, like, to hold and to read, but when it comes to like visual and like aesthetically pleasing books, hardcover all the way. These ones are so pretty. I love the spines. I know there's a glare because I'm in like natural light here, but so pretty. So I have to say this, this is one of the books I've not talked to you guys about that I read. I read The Raven Boys the first week of March, and it was the only book I read in March, and then I didn't read anything again until the last week of May. So it was quite a while before I read anything else. I loved it. It basically follows the main character, who's Blue. Her family is part of like a psychic seeing family. They have powers like that. She does not have powers, but she is what I think they consider someone who like enhances other people's powers. And so she goes with her aunt one night to the Walk of the Dead, and something happens that's never happened before, and she sees someone for the first time. Or the boy that she sees is one of the Raven Boys that you meet in the story. So you really get to know Blue a little bit, and then you get to meet the 4 Raven Boys who are the main characters of this story. It's a really, you know, fun telling. I think that a lot of people say that it was a slow read for them or that it was hard to get through. I loved it. I breezed right through it. I really enjoyed it. And ironically, I didn't expect to want to read this series, so I was really excited for the fact that I enjoyed it so much. So as soon as I finish with the current series I'm on, I think that'll be the next one that I go to, so I can breeze through it and catch up and be done, sadly, but get through the Raven Cycle series. The next few books I want to talk about are more like self-help, personal development books that I got that are for like leadership and just, you know, personal development in general. So the first one I have is called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. The next one I have is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Then I have Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. This one's fantastic. This is about not procrastinating, and if you do the hardest or the most unwanted thing that you need to do during the day, if you do that first, then it's probably the rest of your day is going to go smoother because you've already eaten that frog kind of sense. Then the next book was Girl Boss by Sophia Amoruso. I know I'm saying that right. I really like personal development books and self-help books. I'm not going to tell you a lot about what these are about. If you want to look them up, feel free. But these were just ones that I got while I was in a period of transitioning in jobs. So I wanted to get some more like pump me up kind of business leadership type books. Okay, a few more books here, and so these are the books that I got with my Owl Crate box over the last 4 months. The first book I got in January, I'm not going to show because I feel like people have already talked about that a ton, and I showed you guys it in my Owl Crate unboxing that month, but the first one I want to talk about is The Love That Split the World by Emily Henry. And this, I guess, has a little bit of a time travel element to it. And obviously it's a love story, if you can tell from the title. I am a little hesitant about this one because, first of all, I think the book is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I think it is very pretty, but I've heard not the greatest reviews on it. I've heard a lot of people say that it was very kind of cheesy almost, and that it wasn't the best read, even though they were really excited about it. So I'm still going to read it. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that. The next book we have to talk about from my Owl Crate boxing is The Serpent King by Jeff Zentner. This is about 3 kids in high school. They're about to graduate, and so it really just talks about their life and how it goes going through graduation, and where they see their life going after that. So this is a book that I wasn't on my radar before, but I do plan to read very soon. The next book I have from Owl Crate is Flawed. This is by Cecilia Ahern. This is a book about people that living in a world where if you are not perfect, if you're not on your game pretty much 24/7, and if you're not acting in a way that society feels you are, they mark you as flawed, and you get punished. So I feel like this is kind of interesting, and so obviously this again was not a book on my radar, but I think it'll be good to look into. The last book in this haul was probably the one from Owl Crate I was most excited for, and it is Everland, and this is written by Wendy Spinelli. And this is a Peter Pan retelling, but with a steampunk twist. So I am really excited for this. My daughter and I love Peter Pan, and I love retellings, so I think this will be a really cool spin on things. This is one of the few Peter Pan retellings that I feel like is going to turn out really cool. But yeah, and then of course this book is just gorgeous. Like, look at that. And then it says on the back, "To die will be an awfully big adventure," which I think is kind of cool. Okay guys, that is the end of this book haul. I know it's huge, and I feel like there are so many books here I'm a little overwhelmed, but do you ever notice that you buy books, and then even though you have a ton of books at home to read and you have all these new books to read, you really only just want to go buy more books? Story of our lives, right? So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you read any of these books and you liked them or disliked them, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to know your opinion on them. And I plan to start winter later today, and I will let you guys know how I feel about it in my June wrap-up coming in a couple weeks. But that is all for this video, so thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!